Hello everybody, I'm Mattia Quadrini and today I will present the outcomes of the research activities in the frame of non-terrestrial radio access networks. The A and B in 5G were introduced to extend the radio coverage of the access network by taking advantage of low-cost hardware and aiming for faster deployment. This concept was already introduced in the LTE architecture but was never fully exploited due to low frequency availability and high deployment costs if considered the technology of those years. Meanwhile, 3GPP specified in Release 17 the non-terrestrial networks as an additional access resource, which led to consider the satellite to enhance AAB networks thanks to the wide coverage it can provide. Then, this paper will investigate possible NTN architectures applicable for AAB. In the following, we define the principle behind the AAB concept and its architecture. As first, the AAB network logically represents a genome B distributed over an area larger than the coverage of the single network node. At the same time, both the user and the core network are unaware of this architecture, and they will continue to interact with the AAB network as if it were a regular genome B. It is important to note that the AAB leverages only wireless link, which provide faster and, in some cases, cheaper deployment. The AAB is based on the genome B CODU splitting architecture. There are AAB nodes which implement only user play functions up to the RLC, and a single AAB donor which implement both user and control plane functions up to the PDCP layer, including the radio resource control. The AAB donor controls and configures the various AAB nodes using the F1 interfaces as specified by the 3GPP. To facilitate backhaul operations and management of the links, the backhaul adaptation protocol layer was introduced, providing routing and quality of service configuration functionalities. Both the node and the donor are provided with a dual protocol stack to operate both in the access network, such as a genome B, and in the backhaul network, where the node operates as if it were a UE terminal. Currently, the 3GPP defined a set of frequencies for AAB operations in the FR1 and FR2 regions, only using the time division duplex, which allows the exploitation of the entire available band on one end, but requires the scheduling of radio resources on the other end. An example of AAB node scheduling scheme is shown below. The green boxes represent the periods when the different parts of the AAB node are allowed to transmit. The red boxes represent the prohibition period, and the gray boxes represent the guard time to separate access and backhaul operations. Two modes of operation can be configured for AAB. The in-band allows the reuse of the same frequency band in the access and in the backhaul, while the out-of-band allows the use of separate frequencies. As mentioned at the beginning, the satellite access node is specified in Release 17 by defining orbits, frequencies, and even dedicated 5QI for satellite services. Further announcements are planned for Release 18, which is under discussion. Now I will present a set of possible AAB architectures supporting a satellite component. In particular, two approaches are distinguished: the full satellite and the hybrid approach. For the first approach, we can consider a constellation of satellites implementing both the AAB node and the AAB donor. The support to inter-satellite links is required to allow the AAB elements to communicate each other. End-to-end PDCP sessions are subject to different satellite delays, both ground to satellite and inter-satellite. The feeder link toward the ground station connected with the 5G core shall be always visible. Please note that the constellation is a distributed genome B, which makes this solution quite overdimensioned if compared to a constellation of full-stack genome B. In case of hybrid approach, we can consider either the case of satellite AAB node or the satellite AAB donor. In the former configuration, the satellite equips the distributed unit to support access communications, and the mobile termination for backhaul operations. The adaptations for NTN specified for satellite access node are required in the MT component as well. This architecture is suitable for LEO satellites, while in the latter configuration the satellite equips the DU and CU parts. Therefore, the RRC and F1C unit are subject to ground-to-satellite delays, as for the end-to-end PDCP connections with the NTN UE. Also, the ground UE served by ground nodes are subject to satellite delays. This architecture, instead, can be deployed using GEO satellite, considering that the feeder link toward the 5G core must be always available. Finally, the identified satellite architectures could improve the AAB network by extending the radio coverage while reducing the necessary number of ground network nodes. In fact, a single satellite node can achieve coverage up to an order of magnitude greater than a single terrestrial node. Then a full satellite approach is not recommended. Satellites cannot be easily taken down and reconfigured, at least without incurring high costs. In contrast, a hybrid approach can be considered as a short-term solution. This, however, requires an effort by the 3GPP consortium and AETU for the definition of frequencies dedicated to the NTN AAB and the support for FDD. However, tests to evaluate the performance of a simulated satellite AAB system are underway, and the results will be published shortly. That's all. Thank you for your attention.